Yo, I know this sounds insane, but I gotta share this with you. I just had this epiphany. So, it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm on my porch right now outside in my boxer shorts. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I got up with this epiphany, and my wife is like, where are you going? I'm like, I gotta make this video. So, okay, if you if you're struggling with your business and you feel like sometimes it can be like this speeding train and you're strapped to the front of it, and it's this speeding thing, and maybe you don't want to do this. Maybe you don't want to have a lawn care or landscaping or whatever type of business you're in. And sometimes when you feel like you're forced to do something day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, and you got to keep doing this thing and all the responsibilities that go with it. There's a saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And sometimes you had to work for years on end to get to the point, and this is what I want to talk about, to get to the point where you eventually want to be, and you can be there, but right now it might feel impossible, right? I was just on the phone yesterday morning with Greg Chism. Don't Be Scared. It's his YouTube channel, and he's a legend in our community, and he was saying some interesting things to me. So, what's funny is okay, so it's just a vehicle. Here, I'll just get right into this. I used to go to these events and conferences. Back in the day, I was in network marketing, and there's this speaker named Chris Brady. I used to listen to all these motivational tapes when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, like burning through cassette tapes with AA batteries. And Chris Brady said, you have all this ambition and all this motivation, and maybe you're broke right now or something. He's like, you just need a vehicle. You need a vehicle to get there, right? And so this is what I started thinking of. That you can be so identified with your business that you're like, Keith, just tell me what you're going to say, right? I understand what I'm doing, because if you watch my videos and you watch them, I begin to open up and I carve out the story, and then it all starts to really make sense, right? But people are so effing ADD that you can't get what someone's about to say. I got to know right now in 30 seconds or I can't watch this, right? All right. So when you're so identified with your business and everything that goes on in it, it becomes you, and you live it and breathe it, and you feel like everything that's happening is an attachment of you, and it is you, and it's your waking, living, breathing life moment by moment. Every happiness, every unfortunate event, every little thing. And because you're doing it and you're being it and you're living it moment by moment, you develop these attachments that it feels real. Like, is it an illusion or is it real? And then it can feel like a prison, and you can live in this thing called the caged life, where you feel like you are like an employee stuck in your own business. Now, the good thing that Greg Chism, Don't Be Scared, told me on the phone yesterday morning, he was talking about how the weather has finally broken and it's cooled down a little bit, and I can breathe again, because it was really, 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 really hot. And I think he's going to make a video about that. But it's been nice out. It's cooled down a little bit, hopefully where you're at, because it was really hot. It was crazy. But so it gives you a new perspective, right? Now, back to what Chris Brady said. He was talking about how you need a vehicle. Well, this interesting thing has happened to me over the past year in my landscaping business that's helped me out tremendously. That I did this mindfulness exercise and this meditation. When basically, like when you have an anxiety that comes up and it's gripping you, you'll have a thought. The thought triggers the the amygdala, the fight or flight response happens, and then you start squirting dopamine, and you go into this reactive state, and now your heart starts beating fast, and your vision goes down, and it just narrows down to mitigating risk and survival. And now you can't focus, and when you're in that state of mind, now you're not so productive. It might even open up chaos or pain bodies with your family or your spouse, or things like that. If you pay attention to the way some people that are like always broke all the time and in the poverty mindset, they're usually in a very reactive state. Sometimes they're smoking cigarettes all the time, they're nervous, they pace, they're not able to, this was like me, right, to access the higher thoughts of consciousness that allow you to calm down and then literally manifest beautiful works of art into your life that create beautiful results, and through intentionality that allow you to live your dreams, right? Let's just say you do landscaping. You can make your business become something that is, you fall in love with your business all over again, and it becomes like a dream to you, and you cannot believe that you're actually happy in your business, and actually you're making money, and it's all working, and like, this is dope, right? My brand new book's about to come out. This is the first paperback copy. I'm really excited about this. I'm building the website and everything right now. Just got a couple more things to tweak, and then you can get a copy if you want. But anyways, quick little plug. Oh yeah, also I use Jobber inside of my business, to CRM, to run my business, do the billing, the invoicing, the software, and everything. And it works awesome. If you want, I'll put a link below. You can get a free trial and like 20% off your first 6 months through my link. You can save money in it. So I really like that. That's cool. And they gave me this free shirt. So anyways, back to what I was saying. I got to remember to check out my podcast. We just did 160,000 downloads. Really excited about it. Any podcast platform, you can listen to this very episode right now while you work on the Untrapped podcast. Type in Untrapped podcast on Google or anything like that. Okay. And then another thing I want to say is sorry if there's so many ads sometimes in my videos. I don't control where the ads go, and I know that I can. There's this, but I just don't have time to get in there and do all that stuff. Excuse me. I've been making these videos for years and years, and they take a lot of time and energy and intention on my part, and I really believe that part of my life's calling is to serve people at a level through communication. And I really think it's a great opportunity that I can get paid and make money from YouTube ads that help support me to take the stress off so I can make these videos. So thank you very, very much. And thank you for subscribing and watching these videos. And you could be anywhere, but you're right here with me right now. I appreciate that. I really do. All right. So back to what I was saying. The identity in your business. I had this aha moment through this mindfulness experience and exercise. This is powerful. If you're still here with me, you got to try this exercise. So when you feel an anxiousness, anxiety, or a fear come up, feel where it is in your body, and don't resist it. Don't stick your head in the sand or try to get rid of it. Just breathe and be with that feeling and locate that feeling. And obviously I don't have time to do it in 20 seconds, but bring in thoughts of good times in your life and love and intentionality and successes that you have. And what you can do is we make the mistake of over polarizing when we have an anxious moment or thought or fear, that we polarize so heavy on that thing that it becomes all that exists to us. Oh my God, everything's gonna fall apart. Everything is falling apart. Oh my God, this is horrible. But really, you're just going into fight or flight, and that's not the truth. That's only a partial truth at best. And here's a question that my good buddy Coach Rob, he's one of my greatest friends. I've talked about Coach Rob. He's this secret mystical guy that Keith Kalfas talks about all the time. That he's an NLP certified neurolinguistic hypnotherapist, private mastery coach. And I get to be friends with this guy. So he'll ask me these questions if I'm having like some anxious thought. He goes, well, let me ask you a question. And all that's available and all the information and all that's true, what percentage of what you're thinking right now is the truth? Like, if you put this on a scale, what percentage of your anxiety or your anxious thought is true? Is your whole life coming to the end? Is this like the end of the world? I say, well, actually, like, no. He goes, it's partially true at best. It's just a partial truth, and you're just polarizing on it right now. So the more you can pull the cords and cables and all the things like the matrix that's plugged into you, that keeps you plugged into this freaking, what's it called? Elon Musk says it. We're in a simulation. You are actually in the matrix because all the neurons in your brain are wired into the media and social media and all the thoughts that you've been thinking since childhood and all the everybody else's, and like your nervous system. You're like in this biological spacesuit, which is your body looking out through these eyes, and you're like a caveman in the woods hunting for like a boar so you can feed your family. But you're also this like advanced being at the same time. And how do you sort all this stuff out? This thinking over, Alan Watt used to talk about this stuff all the time. This thinking, like, it overtakes you and you become hijacked by the chimpanzee. You become hijacked. Eben Pagan talks about this too. Ken Wilber, integrated consciousness, the models of consciousness. You can unplug all that stuff and lift up the veil. You just become very present. And realize that your business is not you. It's just a vehicle. And I want to make a whole nother video about this. You know how when you're like, have you ever been like 17, 18 years old and your first car is a piece of crap, rusted out car? It's embarrassing. And you're like, I don't want to drive that. I'm so embarrassed to be seen in that. Well, eventually you swallow your pride and you end up driving it. Because my Aunt Sherry, I love my Aunt Sherry. You don't know about my Aunt Sherry. She always called it point A to point B. These old piece of crap Dodge Horizon or Omni or something, these little cars back in like the late 90s. So she said that car gets me from point A to point B. And that's why it's a good car. So, and that's true, right? When you finally swallow your pride and you get in the car and you just drive it around, you're like, well, it's not so bad. It gets me to where I need to go. Or this old rusty truck gets me to the job so I can get the jobs done right. But then you fall in love with that car. You fall in love with that old rusty truck. It becomes your truck. You love how comfy it actually is, and it becomes yours. Well, that's also it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing when you become identified with it, right? With a physical thing that weighs you down in the world, like the thoughts of having all the materialistic things that you want. When those things have you, then it becomes a problem, right? Because they weigh you down from having presence and vision, potentially. So what I want to say is, can you become unattached from your business, where you just look at it as a vehicle to get you to where you want to go? You need a vehicle. That's what Chris Brady said earlier on when I was talking. You need a vehicle. And right now, even if you hate what you're doing for a living, you're sick of it, or you're stressed out, or you want to do something different, I promise you, I can't promise for sure, but sometimes if you're looking at other businesses and you're looking for a way out of your problem, it's right in front of you. Running from your problem isn't going to make it better, because you're going to bring the same you with the same beliefs and the same patterns into a new situation, right? I think it's really about learning, seeing your problem as an opportunity and stepping back and taking a breath and jumping in with a new mindset and perspective and saying, you know what, my business is the greatest opportunity right now for me to start to experiment and look at it from a higher level of thinking. Albert Einstein said that you cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that you were at when you created the problem. You must rise to a higher level, like a higher vibration. So in my business life, my personal life too, but in my business, my career, I've have the opportunity to be friends with mostly 7-figure business owners, right? I'm like one of the brokest friends I have. And these people have, attorneys and accountants and bookkeepers, and I have an attorney and accountant, and I have a bookkeeper, and I have 2 businesses, and I have all that stuff. That's a different video. And to be able to look at my own landscaping business as this thing that is not me, but this vehicle this truck that I change the tires on, and I change the oil, and I wax it, and I shine it, and I take it places, and we get jobs done with tools. Over the last year, I've been able to more so disassociate myself from smearing my business all over myself all the time and living out everything. It's taking the emotional dial and just turning it back a couple notches to where you're just not so emotionally hung up on everything. And one thing that helps with that a lot is having these systems that people talk about all the time, which kind of pisses me off. But it's about having structure in your business and getting out of the reactive state. Really, really seeing things for what they are and putting your customers and your clients and serving them at a high level first. And when the customer can feel that you have integrity and that you're serving them at a high level, it justifies you raising the prices a little bit. And then when you start making a little bit more money in your business, and getting a bookkeeper helps too, or getting your books and your finances right so you can see where you're at. Because if you can't see where you're at, then you don't know where you're going. But when you can see clearly and accurately where you're at and you get your money right, it allows you to calm down a little bit, because now you're not like running around not knowing where you're really at, like the feeling of not knowing. When you can get really clear of where you're at, then you can see a map and a territory of where you're going. You see where your vehicle is driving to. Oh my God, I didn't know that I was making these silly decisions that weren't producing any results. Let's stop doing that. Like Tony Robbins says, when you realize that you're in a hole is step 1. When you realize you're in a hole, stop digging. Right? So the truth is, I know I have this, I'm over complexifying all this, but to simplify it down is that a lot of this stuff is a lot more simple than we make it out to be. We want it to be complex, but it's actually simple. And the more you can say, what are the patterns that I'm seeing here? Not only in your business, the patterns of things that aren't working. Oh, those things keep reoccurring. Let's fix those things so they stop happening. What is the one thing that you can do to make a permanent, everlasting result? Like in my last window, I'll put a link below, giving customers a time window. I talked about that in my last video. I'll put a link below, or I'll try to put a card up here for you. Is if you keep telling your customers you're going to be somewhere on a specific time, 1 o'clock, right? And now you can't show up to 1:30. Now the customer's upset because you're late and you don't have any integrity and you just hurt your reputation in your business. If you just give your customer a time window saying, hey, I'll be there between 1 and 2, then you just freed yourself up from all those problems from ever happening ever again. And it didn't take a $50,000 piece of equipment. It took just one small pivot and shift in the way that you communicate with your customers. See, if you study organizational communication, you realize that all businesses are frameworks of communication that are happening in an organized way. And if you even look at high levels of business from Amazon, or you even look at the military, getting information from one person to another person, and then to groups of people, and making sure that communication stays consistent and organized in a timely fashion, so the delivery, the product, the vehicle, the thing can get done and still maintain like a consistent nature, like in all the, it's everything. It's vital. It's crucial, right? So in your little tiny, just simple little landscaping business, it's really not that complex. Simplify it down, get present, take a breath, count your blessings, and go crush it. There's so much stuff I want to talk about, I want to share with you. And that's why it's the middle of the night right now. I can think really clear because everybody's asleep, right? Except for me. Except for you, maybe. I'm in my mid-30s now. And, ooh, this is a whole nother video. I'm going on 21 minutes. Okay. In my 20s, I had constant anxiety. It was so bad that I couldn't even like calm down to just have a moment of calmness. Something happened in my mid-30s. I don't know if like just being a man, but I've been able to, like, you can feel it in my presence right now. I'm just here. I'm in my body. I'm aware that I'm sitting here. I can choose to detach from everything around and not worry about anything else that's going on out there. And I could just sit right here. If there's a problem, I can address it. But for the most part, the moment will inform me what I need to do. I don't need to run around anticipating if something's going to happen over there. And what if it does? What am I going to do? It happened before. What if it's like, Eckhart Tolle talks about this in his book, The Power of Now and a New Earth. He's just like, it's like a spinning wheel that's still spinning even though it's no longer being propelled. And if you have a bunch of these open loops in your consciousness, you go nuts. Because they're happening in your body too. You're caught in the swirl. But when you return to presence, the most successful people that I've ever met are people that can channel presence. And then choose what level of presence is right and calibrated for each situation.